Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. My name is Christopher Muldong, and I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre. This channel, Chris's Storytelling Corner, will present you every week free original story content, such as readings of parts of novels that I wrote and short stories. There will also have manga reviews as well. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismuldong.com. If you have an e-reader, you can buy my works on Amazon.com or a digital copy on my website, starting with my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $1.99, you can buy my short stories and short story collection, starting with The Land of the Wooden Statues. Then there's the horror collection, which is a compilation of 3 of my gothic horror short stories, and the Fantasy Fable collection, which is a compilation of 4 of my Fantasy Fable short stories. You can also check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page as well. Links to all these will be provided on the description. Today, I will read the first 7 pages of my novel, The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom. Next week, I will read pages 8 through 14. Also, check out my manga reviews for Negima, volumes 1 through 4, and next week, volumes 5 through 8. So, the synopsis for The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom goes like this. Led by the bandit leader Marinara, bandits roam the countryside waiting for their next victims. Believing that the royal family is not fit to rule the Condiment Kingdom, Marinara has dedicated his life to opposing them. However, the not-so-bright Mustard Prince is sent by his father, King Mustard III, to protect the Condiment Kingdom and its citizens from this bandit threat, as he is now at the age where he can help those in need. Joining him are the Relish Knight, the female treasure hunter Ketchup, and his ghost friend Pickle Salt. Together, they infiltrate Marinara's hideout while fighting the likes of hopping cacti and giant squid in order to defeat him and eliminate the bandit threat from the Condiment Kingdom. So, Chapter 1, The Stink Breath. With his yellow royal garb covered in a yellow cape, the Mustard Prince sits on a garnished throne next to his benevolent father, King Mustard III, and his mother, Queen Tartar. They hear the different pleas from the citizens of the Condiment Kingdom. The first peasant to state his issues cries about stolen sheep. The next issue presented to the royal court has to do with a missing dog. Another peasant complains about missing food. While they state their problems, the Mustard Prince looks around at whatever catches his curious eye, and he will put his attention back to the peasants only for his eyes to wander again. However, the Green family from Peppertown has a terrible grievance. They tell the royal family that their son, Collard Green, has been missing for days. He wandered carelessly into the woods and never came back. King Mustard III hears the couple's pleas and tells his son, Mustard Prince, you are at the age where you must prove your worth as a member of royalty. You may not be the brightest glob of mustard in the sandwich, but you are the most determined. Like the other day, when you were supposed to shoot an arrow at that target on a tree, you shot a bird because it was the same color as the target. When you found out what the real target was, you still shot more birds because your aim is terrible. Then, we had to keep changing the targets because the blood from the birds made the targets red. But you kept at it, and now you can sometimes hit a target with a bow and arrow. Queen Tartar chimes in, Oh yes, when you were a little boy, you would ram your head against things after seeing your first joust. When I finally told you to use a lance like those jousters, you would spear everyone's bottom. Oh, was that most unpleasant. But now you know how to use a lance and a spear. King Mustard III continues, My son, you must find this family's child. Enter the woods. Be wary of any beast, monsters, tricksters, bandits, or spirits that you may encounter. Watch your step because you have a tendency to trip and fall for no reason. Have a great journey, my son. I will, father, the Mustard Prince replies confidently. You can count on me. He walks away while speaking to his father with his head turned. I will watch my step as you said, father. Bam! The Mustard Prince walks into a solid suit of armor and falls to his bottom. Where did that villainous suit of armor come from? I do hope that boy is all right, Queen Tartar tells her husband after her son leaves the castle. Looking for his horse, he gets distracted by the blue sky and does not look ahead. His feet reach past the edge of the ground, and he falls into the castle moat. Getting out of the water and finding his horse, he rides to Pepper Town, leaving puddles of water behind. The Mustard Prince was not always able to ride on a horse, and he has taken many bad falls in the past, which may explain why he can be quite the dunderhead. He persisted on and is now able to ride a horse relatively well. However, he is not always able to stop the horse correctly, and he still falls on his face every once in a while. The road from the castle to Pepper Town is filled with bandits who loot careless travelers. Despite the threat of getting robbed or hurt, Pepper Town bustles with residents and commerce. Stone houses with straw roofs line up the hectic streets. A rotund mayor oversees the town, and he lives in a rather large house compared to the other residents. With an inn, taverns, a blacksmith, and multiple item shops, the town's prosperous commerce sees many citizens of the Condiment Kingdom. At the entrance of Pepper Town, the Mustard Prince's face meets the dirt on a failed dismount. Somehow, he managed to avoid any bandits on his way. Hungry from the ride, the Mustard Prince enters a dingy tavern to get something to eat. However, his face and body is caked with dirt and mud from his fall. In the tavern, a group of monster hunters who have just completed a tough mission looks at the Mustard Prince and immediately thinks that he is some sort of swamp monster. One of them announces, I just mowed down some ugly, mud-looking thing like that the other day. He's probably coming back to get revenge. Let's get him! As the monster hunters charge at the monstrous-looking Mustard Prince, he cries out, Hold on, good fellows! The monster hunters stop in their tracks, scratching their heads and looking at each other in bewilderment. One of them asks aloud, Do these types of monsters talk? Another one responds, I don't think so, but let's beat him up anyways. After the monster hunters beat up the Mustard Prince for no apparent reason, one of them recognizes him and reveals, This here fella is the Mustard Prince. The deformed Mustard Prince, who is still wet, some of it being blood, and covered in mud, walks gingerly around the town with many pedestrians keeping their distance. He eventually finds the house of the Green family and knocks on their door. Mrs. Green opens it and lets out a large shriek when she sees a monstrosity in front of her. She faints, and Mr. Green comes out to see what is going on. He sees the malformed Mustard Prince and yells, Monster! Out of nowhere, the monster hunters from the tavern surround the Mustard Prince. He looks around and tells them, Good fellows, it is me. We met just a couple minutes ago. One of them says aloud, I don't recognize this bloke. The monster we attacked was some swamp monster. You look like some deformed creature of darkness. He looks at Mr. Green and tells him, Good sir, why don't you help us put a hurting on this thing? Sure, if it's for the good of the town, Mr. Green responds earnestly. The monster hunters and Mr. Green beat up the Mustard Prince, whose lumped up body becomes unrecognizable. They leave his battered body lying on the dirt, but Mr. Green stays behind and inspects it. Looking at the Mustard Prince's goofy expression as he is taking his dirt nap, he realizes that they attacked the crown prince of the kingdom. Panicked by what he has done, he tries to lift the Mustard Prince back into his home, but he is twice his normal size. Mr. Green waits for the swelling to go down, and when he looks somewhat normal, he hoists him to his home. Once he wakes up, he is startled by his unfamiliar surroundings and asks, Where am I? Where is this place? Mr. Green responds, You are in my humble home, sir. After he answers him, the Mustard Prince begins to feel pain all over his body. What happened to me? Why am I feeling like someone squeezed all the juice out of me? Mr. Green, not wanting punishment for attacking royalty, tells him, some bandits attacked you. You are royalty after all, my lord. Have you checked your belongings? The Mustard Prince examines his belongings and states, "They are all here." Mr. Green quickly changes the subject and tells him, "It seems they are, sire. We do have more pressing matters, though. As you know, my son is missing. Also, many of my neighbors' belongings have disappeared. I can only think that they were taken away into the lettuce forest." The lettuce forest? Yes, I have heard of that place. It's a place with much treachery, but also home to many tribes of creatures. I have heard about them. Because of my father, they are somehow able to live in harmony. But good sir, what must I look out for in that place? Like in any village, there are good people, and there are those who wish to cause malice to others. Many of the inhabitants of the forest do not enter human territory, as most of their needs are met in the forest. They also work with each other for trading and bartering. The forest, as we know it, is divided into 3 separate tribes who each have their own area of the forest. There are the talking insects, and I do not mean small insects. They are the size of humans and larger. How terrifying! We're used to them and the talking beasts that come into our town. They are not the same as the animals that we hunt and use as food. I have encountered some of these beasts, and I could not imagine eating one. His stomach growls. I have just realized that I have not eaten in quite some time. Would it be too much to ask for any food that you may offer? Unfortunately, my liege, besides my son getting kidnapped, much of my food was stolen as well. That is fine, I suppose. Please continue. There is a tribe of monsters in what we call the monster area that occasionally cause trouble, which is why we need monster hunters. Only a few of them speak our language, yet many are wild and can be violent. Monster hunters. I remember meeting some in the tavern, but after that I only remember bits of what happened. The Mustard Prince looks up in thought as Mr. Green starts to panic. He tells him nervously, "You must have been attacked by bandits after that. They seem to have given you quite the dirt nap." Yes, yes, if only I could remember, though. Nonetheless, are those all the creatures living in the forest? There are spirits that speak our language, wandering the forest, and many are tricksters. When our town gets visitors, they tend to be talking beasts or spirits playing tricks on the villagers. They can float, go through objects, turn invisible for a short period of time, and tend to travel far distances. Luckily, they cannot cause physical harm to humans, nor can they be hurt by swords. Only magic or holy water can cause harm to them. Yes, a spirit named Pickle Salt plays many tricks on me. How long has this been going on, sire? Ever since I was a child. Pickle Salt would appear out of nowhere and yell as loud as he could to scare me. One time, I was awoken from my slumber, and he appeared right before me. I jumped out of my bed and landed headfirst onto the floor. When I awoke again, he appeared before me, and I scooted backwards quickly, only to hit one of my bedposts with my head. He is quite the trickster, but also a friend. And you say that he is your friend, my lord? Well, he is someone that I played with. Hide and seek was fun, but frustrating. Being able to turn invisible gave him something of an advantage. Sir, I would say that is more than just a mere advantage. Now that I think about it, you may be right. Mr. Green sits next to the Crown Prince, dumbfounded. The Mustard Prince shifts the topic to discuss his missing son. What can you tell me about your missing child? Sire, all the people of this town have been missing things. The only clue that we have is a disgustingly strong odor from the culprit. So, you are saying this thief needs to take a bath? Well, yes, sire, but I don't think that's the point. Have any of you tried to follow the smell? It is not permanent in the open air, my liege. However, one resident did try to follow the smell as far as he could, and the scent reached as far as the area of the talking insects. Then I must go to that place. Take the northern exit and follow the path into the lettuce forest. Remain on the path until you reach a place where many talking insects roam. Be careful, sire. There are many bandits hiding in the forest waiting to steal money from any unlucky travelers. So, that's all for today. Thank you for listening to this reading. Next week, I will read pages 8 through 14. Also, check out my manga reviews for Negima, volumes 1 through 4, and next week, volumes 5 through 8. Thank you, and until next time.